Good morning. Today on the Housing Nerd, we're talking about foreclosures and the fact that we have nearly, at this point, about 94,000 total foreclosure filings in the US, according to ATTOM's latest market data on foreclosures. So that's what we're looking at today. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Jason Ferrier. I am a realtor and investor in Central Ohio. I've been doing it now for the last 7 years, and I am the Housing Nerd. And I thank you for joining me on this lovely Ohio spring morning. So today, all about foreclosures. We're going to look at this data from ATTOM, and then we're also going to look at some mortgage data from Black Knight, because that'll help explain some of this information you're going to see today. So again, I want to welcome you to the channel. If you are looking for someone to tell you that you should buy a home, like now's never been a better time to buy, just buy, the market always goes up, you came to the wrong channel. I'm not going to tell you that. On the other side of the coin, if you're looking for someone to tell you the market's never been so toxic and that now is the worst time to buy a home, that the PE ratios are so bad you should never even think about buying a home, you also came to the wrong channel, because I'm not going to shame you for buying real estate, and I'm certainly not going to shame you for not buying real estate. That decision is up to you. I'm here to give you the data and help you navigate some decisions about buying real estate or not buying real estate, or investing in real estate or not investing in real estate. Everybody has their own plan. Everybody has their own decisions to make. I'm just here to give you that data. So let's look at some foreclosure info, shall we? Foreclosure starts see quarterly increase of 14%. Bank repossessions, or actual foreclosed properties, are up 8% from the previous quarter. And after the live, I'll go ahead and put this link in my description below. I don't put the link on at the beginning anymore because I also broadcast this on Facebook, even though YouTube is like my primary source for, or my primary outlet, I guess, for my, the housing market nerd stuff. I still do broadcast this live on Facebook. Facebook is, quite frankly, I don't know. I don't know why I still do it. I don't really like Facebook, but they don't like links. So that's why I'm not including the links when this thing starts. Anyway, ATTOM, a leading curator of land, property, and real estate data, released its Q1 2025 U.S. foreclosure market report, which shows a total of 93,953 U.S. properties with a foreclosure filing during the first quarter of 2025. That's up 11% from the previous quarter, but that is down 2% from a year ago. I'm going to show you why that may be here in a minute, what's leading to that change. The report also shows a total of 35,890 properties with foreclosure filings in March of 2025. That's up 11% from the previous month and up 9% from the previous year. So quarter-wise, we're certainly up from the previous quarter, but we're down compared to last year in foreclosure filings. But if you look at the monthly data, we're actually up 11% from the previous month, and we have more than we had last year. So the bottom line is, folks, the number of foreclosures, they are rising. They are rising. Following 3 consecutive quarters of decline, foreclosure activity ticked up in the first quarter of 2025, with notable growth in both starts and completions, said Rob Barber, CEO at ATTOM Data. While levels remain below historical averages, and they still do, the quarterly growth suggests that some homeowners may be starting to feel the pressure of ongoing economic challenges. However, strong home equity positions in many markets continue to help buffer against a more significant spike in distress. So comment below. I want to know what you think about that paragraph. Basically, what Rob's saying is, hey, foreclosures are increasing. However, However, the number of foreclosures are not exploding. A lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of owners have equity. And whether you may like this or not, especially if you don't own a home and you want one, or you're hoping for a crash, you probably really don't like this stat. But the average homeowner in the US has upwards of 300 grand in equity. That's a fact. So when you look at how much equity folks have in their homes, if they have 300 grand on average, let's pretend they only have 100 grand in equity. Well, why get foreclosed on, right? You're just going to sell your home. And that is why you need to watch the you need to watch the Redfin data that I put out every week, because that Redfin data will show you what's happening with new listings. If a homeowner is in distress and needs to sell their property, not wants to sell. We got a lot of want to sell people, wish pricing, like, hey, I don't need to sell my property, but if somebody gives me the right price, I will. That's want to sell. Need to sell is somebody who's facing foreclosure and they're like, well, I can't make my mortgage payments, so now I need to sell, and I need to sell. It's not a want to sell thing, it's I have to sell. And you're going to see that in the new listings. You're going to see that in the active listings. If new listings are up 9%, 15%, 20% year over year, they should be, because we've had 0 new listings for the past, 4 or 5 years, right? And active listings have been so bad. We're still behind pre-pandemic levels with active listings. The point is, you would see a massive rise locally where you live, or nationally if there were a ton of distressed sellers. Now, a lot of people want to pretend there are distressed sellers because they view if you have to move for a job, that's distress. That's not distress. Distress is when you have to sell. You have no other choice. You're going to put your home on the market for a low price. But that's what I get from this paragraph. Not a lot of distress yet. A lot of equity. You don't need to get foreclosed on when you have equity. You just don't need to. You just sell and take a profit, right? Foreclosure starts increase nationwide. A total of 68,794 U.S. properties started the foreclosure process in Q1 of 2025, up 14% from the previous quarter and up 2% from a year ago. States that had 100 or more foreclosure starts in Q1 2025 and saw the greatest annual increase included Kansas, up 117%, Delaware, up 58%, Oklahoma, up 45%, Utah, up 42%, and Wyoming, up 33%. And you can see here's a chart. I'll click it and zoom in. I got some wind chimes going on. Apologize if that's annoying. Here are the foreclosure starts, a chart, right? And you can kind of clearly see, I mean, look at quarter four of 2020. I'm sorry, quarter 4 of 2005. Look at that. We had just over, 100,000 foreclosure starts in the quarter. Well, look how quickly it ramped up. I mean, back in, quarter 2 of 2008, we had 400,000 foreclosure starts. How many do we have now? 68,000, right? Isn't that what they said? Let me go back and just check it. Check it. Yeah, 68,000. So we have 68,000, and then I'll just stay on this chart. Probably a little easier. Maybe I'll go to this. So we had 68,000 right now, if you look. And now if you go all the way earlier in the timeline to 2008, had 400,000. So people want to say, hey, 2025 is going to be like 2008. I mean, I guess it could be like 2008, but there's a ton of equity out there. It's hard to have foreclosures when you have equity. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, and you probably are, Jason, what about those FHA delinquencies that are being kicked down the road, that basically people are not paying their FHA mortgages? And by the way, do you ever hear loan officers talk about this? No, you don't. I've tried to get a few on my channel to talk about this, about FHA delinquencies, but I think they're hesitant because of their jobs, which I understand. They don't want to lose their job. I don't know why they would, but whatever. I mean, it's facts are facts, right? I'll show you that in a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll show you that in a minute. But you got 400,000 back in 2008. Then it spiked at like 550,000 in one quarter for foreclosure starts, quarter four of 2009, approximately, right? So right here. And then look at it come down. Started to come down and down and down and down, obviously, right? As we kind of left the GFC. The point is, we're not even close. Like, we're not even sniffing what was happening before things got really bad in 2005. Like, we're at 68,000 in a quarter. This has the number in 2005 at 120,000. Again, equity matters, folks. You gotta have. If you have equity, you don't need to get foreclosed on. You just don't have to. Excuse me. I'm gonna take this wind chime off. Oh, I can't. It's too high. I'm a short guy. I'd have to jump to get it. I don't want to do that. So that's the point of that data there. But comment, tell me what you think about foreclosures. Are we going to see more this year? Fewer foreclosures, more foreclosures? Why? Maybe you're going through a foreclosure, unfortunately. Maybe you're hoping to buy a foreclosure. I don't know. You tell me. All right, let's keep going. These major metros, those major metros with a population of $200,000 or more that had the greatest number of foreclosure starts in Q1 2005 included Chicago, New York, Houston, Miami, and Philly. Highest foreclosure rates are in Delaware, Illinois, and Nevada. Nationwide, 1 in every 1,515 housing units had a foreclosure filing in Q1 2025. States with the highest foreclosure rates were Delaware, Illinois, Nevada, Indiana, and South Carolina. So look at that stat there. Pay attention to this. 1,515 housing units, 1 in every 1,500 houses. So if you look at your town and you say, all right, here's 1,500 homes, one of those had a foreclosure filing. Not that many. Not that many at all. I mean, as someone who looks for foreclosures to buy all the time, I can clearly tell you that foreclosures are in the toilet. Like, there are none to go get. Like, they're very hard to find. Oddly enough, I did list a home for somebody who bought a foreclosed property and flipped it. And very awesome story. They flipped it into an affordable home. That's exactly what we need from real estate investors, by the way. That's exactly what we need. Real estate investors get a bad rap because they're the pariah of society, people say. But I can tell you this house needed work. It needed somebody to give it $100,000 in work. Well, somebody did. And then I listed it for them. We got an offer within, what, 3 days, 4 days on the market. I didn't get a chance to put the sign in the yard. We got an offer. It's a great home. It'll be a great home for somebody, and it's affordable. It's listed under $200,000. Can't beat that, right? I think it's 4 bed, 1 bath, all renovated. It's got a nice yard and stuff. So that's why foreclosures can be helpful to the housing market, because you can take a home that was forgotten about, breathe some life into it, and somebody can have an affordable home to live in. Or even a homeowner can do that, right? I know somebody who bought a foreclosure for their family. Like, they helped their child buy a foreclosed home. They had to kick they had to kick the tenants out. They had to evict the tenants. Tenants weren't paying. They had to evict the tenants. The house was completely decrepit and nasty. Like, I'm talking super nasty. Like, imagine the nastiest thing you can think of and then go 10 steps beyond that. But nonetheless, after a year of hard work, that place is an awesome home. I just went to the house a few days ago, or a few weeks ago, and actually it's been months now. It's been months. And awesome house. But it was, revived from the dead. And so they're all in probably under 200. And now they have a ton of equity and a good house to live in. So that's why foreclosures are great for the market. But they can be great. Among 225 metropolitan statistical areas with a population of at least 200,000 people, those with the highest foreclosure rates in Q1 2025 were Columbia, South Carolina, 1 in every 683 housing units, Lakeland, Florida, 1 in every 694, and Riverside, California, and Chico, California. Back during the GFC, Riverside, Chico, that was like ground zero for the housing market implosion. I lived out there during that period of time, and it was rough, no doubt. All right, so here is a chart for the U.S. properties with foreclosure filings. Again, you can see not just foreclosure starts, but these are just filings. So they haven't started the foreclosure process yet. And you can see right now we're around, what, 100,000? About 100,000? And you can see the small uptick. Like, let me zoom in on this. Look at that. You can see the small uptick here. So, you know, there are more foreclosures, but look at this. I mean, if you zoom back out, it's like, whoa. That's why my thumbnail says shocking data. Like, it's shocking to see that we have over or near 100,000 foreclosure filings right now in a quarter, because that is going up. But when you zoom out, it's like, oh, I forgot. We had 900,000 in one quarter back during the GFC. 900,000 foreclosure filings. For some reason, there are folks on YouTube that'll tell you like there weren't that many foreclosures back then. It was all investor greed and speculation that crashed the housing market. Okay. I mean, I look at this chart and I go, what? I mean, there's a lot of homes here. 900,000, 950,000 in a quarter. So just think about that from like an inventory standpoint. Right now we have just 1 million active listings total in the US. Total. And back during Q1 2010, we had over 900,000 foreclosure filings. And what? 500,000 foreclosure starts, according to that last chart. So like the gap between now and back in 2008 is not even, it's so far removed from reality. It's like a parallel universe. I'm sorry, an alternate universe, like Back to the Future, where they go, what is this bizarro world? Like we're not even in the same ballpark. And I know things can change, obviously, but to get back to where we were, it's going to take some big changes. Bank repossessions increased 8% from last quarter. Lenders repossessed 9,691 U.S. properties through foreclosure or REO in Q1 2025, up 8% from the previous quarter, but down 4% from a year ago. U.S. completed foreclosures. So this is actually a foreclosure that's been, sold and done, right? Completed, and the bank actually took it back. Not sold. I guess the bank actually repossessed it and the bank owns it. That's what REO is, real estate owned. That's what that means. So you can see here, this is the completed foreclosures. Again, 2005, quarter four 2005 had around, 70,000 approximately completed foreclosures. And then look at this. Quarter four 2010, 275,000. And now we're at 9,000. I mean, I know I'm a nerd, but I'm no genius like that. But you tell me. I mean, that seems like a big disparity in those numbers. I mean, look at, again, we only have 1 million active listings in the US. I mean, that number goes up like 10% and people go, oh no, inventory is exploding. It's like, well, we only have 1 million active listings. Back during the GFC, in a quarter, we had, look at that. Nearly 300,000 completed foreclosures. All these foreclosures, by the way, were probably listed on the market. So that would mean if we had 300,000 foreclosures now, it'd be like 30% of the market. Obviously not real, right? To put it into context, back during the GFC, we had 4 million homes for sale. 4 million. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not 1 million, not 2 million, not 3 million, 4 million. Actually, it was a little over 4 million. So that's a lot of homes. Basically 4x where we are now, right? Right. That's where we are. So it's a, there's no doubt that the foreclosures are rising, but man, long way off from the GFC. This is kind of interesting here. Average time to foreclose decreased 12% from previous quarter. Woo! But as one viewer pointed out to me a couple days ago, the devil is in the details. Properties foreclosed in Q1 of 2025 had been in foreclosure process for an average. Sit down for this. You sitting down yet? 671 days. This represents a 12% decrease from the previous quarter and a 9% decrease from the same time last year, continuing a downward trajectory observed since mid-2020. So back in Q1 of 2007, unfortunately, they don't go all the way back to 2005. Look at this. Time to foreclose was like 175 days. Banks were good at it. They had people on staff to handle foreclosures. How many people on the average, in the average bank staff are now just in charge of foreclosures? Nobody. There are no foreclosures hardly. So I'd be shocked if a bank, a large bank like US Bank or a big lender had, you know, a bunch of people in charge of disposing of foreclosed properties. You'd be like twirling your thumbs all day long. I ain't got nothing to do. There's no business, right? But back then, there was a good amount of business, so banks were foreclosing quickly. But look at the days now, 671. Now, it has gone down since 2024, but in 2024, it actually went up compared to 2023. So I don't know that it's a trend yet. But look at this. 671 days, meaning if you're waiting or hoping or wishing or wanting a foreclosure wave in order to save you from the housing market or save the millennials or save the working class, whatever you want to call it, to save just mom and pop who want to buy an affordable home. Well, first off, you got to have foreclosures. Those are really low. Then you got to wait 671 days for the thing to hit the market or to complete. So forget hitting the market. All right, well, pretend it's 600 days because it's 70 days to close on the property maybe, which is long, but whatever, sake of argument. 600 days, it's like almost 2 years. Long time, a long time. But there's a reason for that. Again, I keep mentioning that. We'll get to that in a minute. There is a reason for that long delay. And I would say this number is probably going to drop substantially. I would look for these days to complete a foreclosure to continue to go down once the loopholes in the mortgage system are removed, because there's a lot of them. However, I am also worried that this number won't go down because despite what a lot of people have said about the loopholes closing soon, they're actually going to continue. There still will be loopholes. People just aren't admitting that. So again, we'll get to that in a minute, but that's days to complete a foreclosure. Long time. States with the longest average foreclosure timelines, you better sit down for this one too. For homes foreclosed in Q1 2025 were Louisiana, 3,000 days. 3,000 days. I mean, is that even real? Like, so I go to get my, you know, I don't make my mortgage payment and I sit in the home for another 3,000 days. Like if you're an older person and you're like at the end of your life cycle, one could say you could just stop paying your mortgage in Louisiana and then just know that it takes 3,000 days to foreclose. So it's like, well, maybe I'll be gone by then. I mean, that's nuts. Hawaii, 2,274 days. Kentucky, 1,993 days. Wisconsin, 1,900 days. And New York, 1,900 days. So with the average at 671, obviously there are a lot of states that are high and a lot of states are low. States with the shortest average foreclosure timeline were New Hampshire, 110 days. Texas, 116 days. Wyoming, 136. Minnesota, 139. And Rhode Island, 149. So there are some states where it takes, you know, just 3 months to foreclose. Approximately, right? A little more than 3 months. All right, nationwide, 1 in every 3,965 properties had a foreclosure filing. We talked about this, states with the highest foreclosure rates in March. But let's look at foreclosure market by state. So this kind of looks, you can see the state rank, obviously, and it shows you the total properties with foreclosure filings, how many, what's the rate of foreclosure, right? How many out of so many houses are foreclosed on or being foreclosed on. The percentage increase since Q4 of 2024, and then the percentage increase year over year. So there are states where the percentage is actually going down year over year. And there are states where it's going up. So nationally, it's down year over year, quarter by quarter. Month by month, it's actually up year over year, but quarter by quarter, it's down. So you got Alaska, that's up 13% year over year and 77% quarter over quarter. But look at the number of foreclosure filings in Alaska, 119. Just 119. I mean, you know, not a lot of population there, but still, I didn't think that was a lot. But like, look at California. I mean, the rate there is 1 out of every 1,300 homes. But it's down both year over year and quarter over quarter in foreclosure filings. Look at this. Look at Colorado. It's only 1 out of every 2,117 homes, but it's up 30% year over year and up 38% quarter over quarter. Delaware has the highest rate when you look. It's it's 1 out of every 761 homes. You see me? I don't know if you can see me. I'll get you some comments in a minute, but thank you. Please feel free to leave a comment, and I'll get to it here before the end. All right, District of Columbia. Kind of interesting, right? Down. People thought there would be a lot of pain in the District of Columbia. Maybe there will be. But again, you got to think, like, if you lose your job, like if for some weird reason, some guy who invented the Tesla car owns Twitter and runs SpaceX, if he for some reason sent you an email and terminated your employment with the government, you would think there would be more foreclosures. But remember, a lot of people have equity. So foreclosures aren't necessarily a needed thing, right? They're not when you have equity. Plus, it takes a long time to go through the process. So maybe there'll be pain in the future at District of Columbia, but right now, no. Florida, look at Florida. Year over year, down 6.54%. I'm looking for the pain there in Florida. I mean, people are saying, Florida's horrible. It's going to completely crash. Maybe it will. I'm not saying it won't, but so far, not a lot of foreclosures there. It is ranked 7th, though, in the country. You'd think it'd be number 1 with all the pain there, right? Georgia down 5%, almost 6% year over year. Hawaii down 10 or 11%. Idaho down 9%. Illinois up 15%. Taxes there are nuts in Illinois. I've looked at some real estate deals there, some multifamily. Taxes there are murdersome. Not very good. Indiana, Iowa, right? Up. Kansas is up. Kentucky is up, though it takes, what, 2 years to foreclose on a property there. Louisiana, 20% increase. Maine, 9. Maryland, down 24. Massachusetts, down 30. Where's Ohio? I'm in Ohio, so let's find out. Any other ones stand out here? They're interesting. New Mexico up 32. New York down 18. Ohio down 18%. 1 out of every 1,275 homes, ranked 11th in the country. So we do have some foreclosures, but not a ton. Not a ton at all. Look at Texas. People say that's going to be the epicenter of the crash as well. 12%. Up 12%. Look at Utah, up 66%. Washington, up 38%. Okay, so I will get to the comments in a minute. I just wanted to show you this next. All right, so this is a chart showing foreclosure protections on 90-day delinquent mortgages. And this is from Black Knight back in December of last year. They haven't published this chart since, probably because every YouTuber on earth has been using it, including me. But this shows you folks why this is one of the reasons why you're seeing low foreclosures. One is equity, I believe. The other reason is prices haven't collapsed yet. They have not. There are pockets of the US where prices are going down, no doubt, but people keep waiting for this massive collapse in home prices. Haven't seen that yet. And this is the other reason why you're seeing lower foreclosure rates, because there's a 90-day delinquent mortgage protection on properties, basically, called loss mitigation. So this chart represents the percentage of people that are 90 days or more delinquent on their mortgage, and the fact that they're in protection. And meaning, and I'll tell you exactly how they're being protected, but this is about roughly 500 to 600,000 mortgages right now are in protection. What's the protection? Well, some of them have no protection, I guess. That's the black area down here at the bottom. So that's like 25% have no protections, meaning they can just get foreclosed on, right? Then you got the light blue, which is right now, what's that, another 30%, maybe 30% more are actually in forbearance, meaning they don't have to make a payment at all. You ask, how is that possible? Well, during COVID, there were a lot of rules put in place about foreclosures, and the government said, you don't have to make your mortgage payment if it's a certain mortgage. You don't have to make that payment anymore. If you can't, we'll make it for you, being the government. And then that amount is tacked on to the back end of the loan, usually as a second loan at 0% interest. And there are people that haven't paid a mortgage like ever on their homes. Like they moved into a home and never paid a mortgage. They just keep extending the loan. The government keeps paying it. In the gray area here is loss mitigation. A lot of that is like they're going through a loan modification process. They could, the government could be lowering their interest rate. The government could be lowering their principal payment. So a lot of those are in loss mitigation, but they're not being foreclosed on right now in that gray area. Then the blue area is bankruptcy. If you declare bankruptcy, and this is amazing. I actually heard a guy on Real Estate Mindset who's on there all the time, Mitch Vexler. I heard him mention that he's actually helping people file bankruptcy to avoid foreclosure. I was shocked that he said that. I was like, wow, that's like exactly what I don't think, but it seems like that's what that channel is against, is kicking the can down the road and allowing people to declare bankruptcy and run away from their mortgage. But it sounds like he's helping people do that or guiding them to do that. So if you file bankruptcy, and I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not a mortgage expert, but I think when you file bankruptcy, the foreclosure process stops, right? So there, you know, another 12% of folks have filed bankruptcy in order to protect themselves from foreclosure. So folks, all this big mess of monkey business here and goofiness and malfeasance is keeping a lot of foreclosures away and keeping them back. The question is, what will happen once these have to be handled in some way? Will the government kick the can down the road, or will they let this floodgate unleash on the market of foreclosures? Remember, there's like 600,000. So these protections were originally, a lot of these protections were supposed to end. Now, some of them have. There's one protection, the VA loan moratorium on foreclosures has ended at the beginning of 2025, and we saw an increase in foreclosures. So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing an uptick on foreclosures. But the vast majority of the loopholes are still in place. They were supposed to end in February of 2026. The FHA came in under the new administration and said, you know what? That's not going to work. We're going to move that up. So now it's September of this year that this monkey business is supposed to end. However, you got to read the details. And the details say it's not ending. They're going to still allow you to not make a payment, not to miss payments and have them added to the back of the loan. However, you can only do it once every like 24 months or 18 months. I can't remember which one it is. It's either 18 or 24 months. So you can still do it, but you just can't do it all the time. Like you can't do it over and over and over and over again. You can only do it once every 18 or 24 months. So it's not ending. Don't get it twisted. It ain't ending. There are going to be people that still take advantage of it. So what, it's going to be really interesting to see. And I'd love to know what you think. Do you think the administration is going to allow this to continue, or are they going to actually unleash the foreclosures into the market? A lot of people think that they're going to let the market crash. Still others, though, think, you know what? I don't think they're going to do that. I mean, there are massive political, economic implications for this problem that's brewing behind the scenes. Massive. And they have a really tough decision to make. Remember, a lot of these people that are going through foreclosure that are in protection are voters, right? They're supporters of a certain side of the aisle, you would say. Well, if you unleash the foreclosure bomb, what happens to your constituents? What happens to those folks? They're probably pretty mad, right? Tough decision. I'm glad I'm not in charge of that. Anyway, that's what I'm seeing. Let's talk about, let me look at some comments here. What's up, Ches? The Fed has been trying to bury the housing problem. The Fed has been trying to bury the housing problem? I don't know. They didn't come up with these rules on forbearances. They didn't do that. But make no mistake. The administration wants lower rates. But I don't know if that has to do with this necessarily. But yeah. What could lower the days? Oh, what could lower the days on foreclosures? I think if you, as more foreclosures hit the market, people will be, banks and lenders will be better at dealing with them. I think we'll see that. And I also think that the fact that there's been all these forbearances and loopholes, as those supposedly end, like if they don't end, if the government continues to kick the can down the road, then those days probably won't drop. But if they actually allow foreclosures to hit the street, then I think, yeah, you'll see those days drop. But good question. 3,000 days, that's 8 years. Yeah, it is 8 years. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. This is why you're not seeing foreclosures. This is why you're not seeing any. Because it takes a ton of time to actually foreclose on a property. What's up, Tony Mac? Return of the Mac. Good morning, all. Good morning to you. Smoke screen. Hey, y'all. Hey to you. Didn't they recently end the FHA COVID relief policy that's been dragging for the past 5 years? Well, yeah, I did mention that just a few minutes ago. They are ending it well, they're not ending it. They're modifying it in September of this year, but there's still going to be a loophole in there that you can not make your mortgage payment, and they will, I think you can miss it for like 18 months. Like not make your payment for 18 months. And they put you into a partial claim is what they call it. And I got a lot of this knowledge I got from Melody Wright. So there's some great videos on Melody Wright was featured on Jack at Nobody Special Finance on his channel. He had a couple people on his channel, Melody, and then this other individual, John Comiskey, and they have like really dissected what's going to happen with these loan programs. But be careful when you watch those videos, because they act like it's Christmas. Like, finally, these things are finished and we can, see these foreclosures. But then like they half mentioned that, oh, they're not ending. The loopholes are actually going to continue. Just not as easy to get the loophole. as normal, but they're still going to be there, unfortunately. Good day, housing nerd. How are you, Ghost? Good day to you. Government will wait for something in economy to break, and then they will shift the blame. Of course. Well, of course they will, right? Obviously. I mean, shoot, we've got the Intel plant here in Ohio that's like fledgling. It's like turning into a laughing stock of a project. And we've got leaders, political leaders in Iceland or Greenland or whatever the heck they are, and wearing makeup. And you're like, what are you doing, clown? Like, this is like, you're from our state. Now they're like, well, that Intel stuff isn't our fault. You know, that CHIPS Act was a bad idea. It's like, man, can't you stand behind your people? But it is what it is, right? You can't, you can't fix stupid. So you just got to kind of roll with it and take care of what you take care of. The moratorium for FHA was supposed to end 10th of July, but may have been extended. I think, well, it was actually, I think it was supposed to end in January, but the last thing the prior administration did, or one of the last things, was extend it. They tried to extend it to February of 2026. Now the FHA has rolled that back to September or October of 25. But again, it's not there's still, it's not a moratorium. It's loopholes. It's, they call it partial claims. I don't make my mortgage payment. You're allowed to not make your mortgage payment, and then the government will make those payments for you and put them on the back end of the loan. So they don't like give you the money. You still owe it, but it's just on the back end at a 0% interest rate. At least that's what I've read and researched. So what else we got? I'll have to check out that interview out. Yeah, you should. Jacket Nobody Special. He has a great channel. Great, 20 minutes every morning. You kind of understand what's happening with the markets. And he had Melody and John on. So I can't believe there's not more comments about the foreclosures and mortgage delinquencies. Like, usually people are really angry about that, but that's okay. Maybe people are starting to realize that, that's this goofiness is probably going to continue, right? I'm going to go back to this real quick because I think this is really telling again. Like, remember, this is where we were at the beginning of the GFC, over 100,000, and now we're over here, 2024, almost at that level, getting close to that level of foreclosure filings. But back during the GFC, man, 210 in 2010, we had over 900,000 foreclosure filings. 900,000. Oh, that's what I want to show you. PropStream. So this is how I search for foreclosures. A lot of times, I'll show you what I do here. What time is it? I got to go in a few minutes. So this is how I do it. And I use a program called PropStream. So if I look in Columbus, well, I'll look in Franklin County. I can search by foreclosures. Yeah. So there's 583 properties right now. You can see this, 583 properties with a pre-foreclosure filing. And then you can kind of click on them like, hey, here's one in New Albany. What's up with this one? Oh, looks like a foreclosure. And it kind of tells you what's going on with the property. And then you can click the details. You can find the owner name and the mailing address for the owner, information about the property, the debt, open mortgages, the estimated balance on the mortgage. It's got the pictures from the listing. It may be already listed. Is it listed? It was listed back in 2023. On the market 559 days. Holy shnikes. What's up with that one? That one's crazy. But yeah, this is how I look for foreclosures. And this software is, I'll put a link in my description below for it. But this software is like, it's not cheap. It's like $100 a month, but it does help you find foreclosed properties. Much better than like a free service. Like you get what you pay for, obviously. But that's not the only thing this program does, or this app does. You can actually drive for dollars with it, which I talk about on my channel all the time. And I use it for driving for dollars too. But let's see what's going on in Licking County. Funny name, right? Licking County, Ohio. Maybe there's some foreclosures. 109, just 109 properties. See, I like duplexes and triplexes and quads. So let's see here. You can sort it by type of property. So I'm going to select 2 to 4 units, 5 units. No, I'm just going to do 2 to 4 units. There's only 2 in my county. There's only 2 pre-foreclosures. That's it, of duplexes. The duplexes and quads and triplexes, that's my niche. But man, they are in short supply here. Like people love them. And if you're looking to buy a home, that's a great way to find an opportunity, is to move into a duplex, rent out one side, and live in the other. Franklin County, Ohio. How many we got here? 5. Franklin County's big. I mean, it's Ohio State, right? So there's a ton of people there. But a duplex right now, and this is amazing to me. I have to admit, this blows me away. There's only 5 pre-foreclosures in Franklin County. I mean, that makes no sense to me, because investors, you would think there'd be a lot of investors, or at least a portion of them, are struggling with property taxes, insurance, maintenance costs. But man, they must be doing really well, because I can only find 5. Like, this is a good area, Grandview Heights. What's up with this one? Pre-foreclosure, has no mortgage balance. Could be a good seller financing opportunity, right? But yeah, this program is awesome. PropStream is what it's called. There's other ones out there like Deal Machine. That's pretty good too. But PropStream to me is by far the best. You can tag these properties when you hunt for them, and you can create a mailing list. That's how I find all my deals, by the way, is snail mail, letters. That's how I do it. I don't cold call. I do network somewhat. Obviously, I do the YouTube thing, but a lot of the opportunities I find are from letters. They work. Snail mail letters work if they're done right. And they work for owner occupants too. Like if you're someone who wants to buy a home for your family to live in, use letters. You know, find distressed properties. Send them a letter. Do you want to sell your home? Yes. Oh, okay, let's talk. Maybe it could be something you buy for your family at a significant discount. All right, anyway, that's how I find foreclosures. The other way would be I find them with auctions. Like I'll find them through the county. So that's the other thing I do. All right, let's see if anything else. Any other comments? Still waiting on Nashville, Middle Tennessee to have reasonable prices. $300K for shoebox in middle of nowhere. Has anyone heard the amount of concession sellers have been giving? You mean? By the way, Kyle, thanks for joining us. Are you saying like new builds or regular sellers? Yeah, I mean, concessions are definitely out there. I don't know if you're talking about new or not. Okay, what time is it? Yikes, 9:04. I got to roll. So I hope this helped you understand kind of what's happening with the foreclosures and maybe some mortgage delinquency data. If you're waiting on a foreclosure wave to save the housing market from unaffordability, I mean, it's a fool's errand at this point, because there's just not a lot of foreclosures. So you have to find another way to get a house. Not saying you can't find a foreclosure. It's just there's not a lot of selection out there. And again, you're going to see that distress build in new listings and active listings. So check out my Redfin live update. We're going to do it together either Thursday or Friday of this week. Once the Redfin report comes out, I dive into the national housing market data, deep dive into the national data. Then I dive into metros that you guys request. So I know somebody on here wanted Tennessee. That could have been Kyle. I can't remember. I have it on a list. But if you have a metro you want me to analyze, put it in the comments on this one or any video. Hopefully I see it and I'll be able to put it on a list and then talk about that metro and help you through it. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, listen, thanks for the time today. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you on the next Housing Nerd video. I'm the Housing Nerd, and I'm out. OUT out.